Find your people. That's it. That's the message. That's the whole message. But since you're here, let me tell you why finding your people, especially as you get older, especially you get into your 50s, might be the most important thing that you possibly do in your entire chapter, and why it's not as hard as anyone makes it seem. So let me tell you what this conversation is and what it isn't. This is not a video about how to be more likable. No. This is not about how to network better or to put yourself out there more or any of that kind of energy. No. This is going to be like a real conversation. I'm having it with myself too. And about what happens in the friendship and your community at the stage of this life. Why some relationships quietly fade. Why your circle might have gotten smaller than you expected. And why? And why is this the part? I really need you to hear that it's not a reflection of anything, being wrong with you. It might actually be the most important upgrade in your entire life. Let me paint you a picture. Oh, I gotta say, just picture this. You look up one day and it happens gradually, so you almost don't notice until you do, and you realize your circle is smaller than it used to be. The group chats are quieter. The friendships that used to feel effortless now feel like work. People you've gotten known for years feels like strangers. And in many ways, you can't quite explain. And the ones who really get you, the ones you can call on at any hour and be completely yourself, you can count on them. One hand, two hands, maybe two fingers. And your first instance to wonder what went wrong. Did you change too much? Did you pull away? Did you do something? Are you too much? Not enough. Too busy, too focused. And I want to stop right there, like literally right there, because the story you're feeling yourself about why your circle got smaller is probably not the real story, but here's what actually happened. You grew, you evolved, you started becoming more intentional about your time, your energy, and some of the connections that you used to fit into that were built off of proximity of convenience or shared seasons of your life. You didn't grow with that. That's not a failure. That's called becoming. And the space that it creates, that's not emptiness. That's room for someone that actually fits who you are right now. Here's something I want for you to understand about adult relationships, especially at this stage. A lot of friendships we built in early life were built on circumstances, if that makes any sense. You went to school together, you worked together, your kids were the same age, you lived in the same neighborhood, you went to the same gym, you were in the same season at the time, and the proximity created connection. What's wrong with that? And that connection was real. I'm not telling you to discount that. Proximity-based friendships have an expiration date. You know how you say everyone's there for a reason in the season? When the circumstances change, when kids grow up, when you left that job, when career shifts, when somebody moves, you get the picture. When life just takes people in different directions, some of these friendships naturally fade. And instead of letting them fade gracefully, we try to hold on to them. We feel guilty, like for not calling more, for not being available more, for not going to the same program with you more, not staying the job that you pivoted from. We feel like something is wrong with us and we're not missing, and for us not missing it when we think we should, we keep like trying to revive something that has simply ran its course. And that energy, that guilt, forcing and trying, that taking up space that could be used for something new. Here's your permission to slip right now. You're allowed to let some connections completely develop themselves. You're allowed to hold someone in your heart with love and gratitude for the reason they were in your life without forcing them into a season they don't belong in. That is not cold. That is not selfish. I think that's really smart and wise. That is actually, wisdom. Now, let me touch on what you actually build it towards. Because this is the exciting part. And I'm learning this a lot nowadays. Intentional community 50 and up was completely different from friendships you fell into in your 20s and 30s, and maybe even your 40s. Because now you get to choose consciously, very deliberately, based on who you actually are right now, not used to be, not who other people need you to be, who you actually are. who are you right now? You are someone with specific interests, specific values, a specific way of moving through the world. You want depth over noise. You want people who are very curious and growing and honest. You want conversations that actually go somewhere. You want to be in rooms where you are fully yourself without editing it. Those people exist. I promise you they exist. Hi, how are you? They exist. But here's the thing. You're not going to fall into the lap the way friendships did when you were younger. You have to be a little bit intentional in finding them. You have to go to places. You gotta be outside. You gotta be outside. The people like you gather, museums, club, culture events, convention classes, all gatherings built around shared interests, online community that lead to real world connections. And yes, I'm personally out there looking for attentional humans to explore with me. I love museums. I love Comic Cons. I love good conversation. I love growth. I love traveling. I love to get to be in rooms with people that are smart than me. I'm picking up a dictionary and I gotta look this stuff up. You already know where to find me. The point is, you have to show up in the places where your people are. And then you have to be willing to be very vulnerable, to say hello, to follow up. This is just a coffee, to be the one who reaches out. Adult friendships requires a little more intentionality that we used to. But what you build on purpose is so much more solid than what you fell into accident. Here's the mind shift that changes everything at that stage. Stop counting your friends seriously. Stop measuring your social wealth by how many people are in your circle or how full your calendar is or how many group chats you're in. Start measuring it by depth, by how you feel after you spend time with someone, by whether you leave a conversation feeling energized or drained, by whether you can be honest with someone or whether you're performing a version of yourself around them. One person who really sees you and is worth 10 times the people who only know you from highlight reels. And I know and tell you this is where we at now. And here's something I've noticed. And this is just the architectural blurb of me. I named myself. I am coming out because I can't help but observe patterns. The people who complain the most about being alone at the stage are often the ones who are surrounded by the most people. Because a quantity without depth is not noise. God, or it's just noise. And noise is exhausting. When you look into for is reassurance and the feeling when you with everyone and everything is just clicks. The conversation flows. Energy is easy. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to shrink. You don't even have to perform. The feeling is available to you at this age. This big old age, especially in the 50s. Right now, this very season, this very day, after you read and listen to this message, let's go handle some of that stuff. But you have to be willing to clear out some of that noise first. Not the answer that sounds good, but the honest one. So always come back to this video. Write them down as I kind of ask. And I'm not going to leave any narrative about it. It's gonna tell you to listen to the questions. So one, when you look at your current circle, how many people and they actually know who you are right now? Not the ones 5 years ago, but not the role you played, the real one right now. Is there a friendship you've been holding on to out of history or guilt rather than genuine connection? And what would it feel like to let it completely is self-love, to let it complete self-love? Oh my God, why can't you here right here? I'm a good doctor. Okay. Number 3, when was the last time you walked away from a conversation feeling genuinely energized? Who was that with? And are you making enough space for more of that? And number 4, it's the last one. What spaces are you showing up in right now? And are those spaces full of people who are growing in the same direction you're growing? In fact, I chopped them things up and I wrote it such intention. But just listen back to the movie Getting Catch It. I'm gonna also put it in the description as well as a questions in the comment boxes. Here's your self-check. At this food, we have to have a self-check for this week. Pause and honestly reflect on this. Am I building community on building purpose? Or am I just hoping the right people find me, because hoping is passive, and you are not a passive person. You are someone who studies life, who moves with intention, shows up fully in spaces that matter. Before you go, I want to know, where have you found your most unexpected, meaningful connection as an adult? Drop in a comment because I genuinely want to know, and I read everything. Okay, if this resonates with you, please like, subscribe, share to the Empowerment Click. We're building something real over here, and I want you to be a part of it. Okay, I have a playlist of happens in your 50s, so I'm gonna definitely link them at the bottom here. So please check it out. We're talking about spending intentional time together. This is not punishment. This is learning in your second part of your life, and it should be fucking